Hey, Arihia, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very good. Thank you, Roger.
Awesome. I said your name correctly, right?
You're very close.
How do you say your name?
Arihia.
Adihia.
Arihia, yes.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh, that's good. Wow. It's a very, I mean, from where I'm from, it sounds a bit different. Adihia. Adihia.
Arihia. Well, it's actually different from where it's from too, so don't feel bad.
I wonder how that was like at school when people had to call your name. Was it pretty straightforward?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So out of here, we're going to talk about a, a very interesting device which I came across recently called Healy. I hadn't heard about Healy, but what I do know is that it's a device which works through microcurrent frequencies, um, and it's been FDA approved. It's some sort of bioenergetic resonance device, which relieves pain and many other things as well. When I looked into it, I was like, this sounds like everyone needs it in their life, and it just kind of blew me away, to be honest with you. I know that uh, it can energize you and on an energetic field, or it's yeah, just sounds pretty amazing. So yeah, it sounds like real sci-fi stuff.
Definitely is real sci-fi stuff for sure. Magic and science together.
So firstly, are you a practitioner of or for Healy at all?
I'm not a practitioner for Healy. My qualification officially is that I'm a kinesiologist, so I'm a trained kinesiologist. We train for that, and for those of you who don't know what that is, essentially it's like studying the body, and on the layers of how we exist, on the mental, on the emotional, on the physical, and on the spiritual, and the energy, the context that a kinesiologist really works with, regardless of whether someone comes in with a sore knee, or I'm constantly arguing with my sister, or I have recurring dreams, or I have a headache, whatever it was, I would put the person on the table, and time again, what came through, like as you kind of like track the person's neurology, is that it all comes down to energy. Like, and you can pinpoint that to like exact like positioning in the body, and like where that's held in their organs, or certain parts of their body. And time again, even though I already knew that and I experienced that as a child growing up, it was kind of innately part of my curiosity. When I studied kinesiology, and it was all like written in this education, and kinesiology is a field that was used in hospitals, especially in Europe, for a really long time. And I do believe some of them still do use kinesiology. And yeah, so that's really my qualifications. And so when I met Healy, I was like, wow, this is kinesiology, but like on to the max, like so personalized, so individualized, that exactly everything that you said all the right words kind of like mixed up together.
Yeah.
And there's so much to know about Healy. With my qualifications, I was still learning things about the quantum field and the body and Healy, like months and months and months after receiving and starting to use my Healy.
Wow. Wow. So, yeah, you mentioned the quantum field. Obviously, this device works on a yeah, through the quantum field. It sounds pretty. So, okay, when how does Healy talk about this to individuals who have never heard about them? So, if I'd never heard about Healy and I wanted to improve my health, how would you, let's say, market this to me? What would be the benefits you would tell me about it for me to be like, oh right, okay, I need one of those.
Good question. If I was going to do it in one sentence, I would say this is a scientific device that balances my body and my life. And right now, I'm running a program that is really helping me, with my, I ran it so that I could speak clearly on this, like on this show, like with you now, so that I was really connected into my body. But if you want to go deeper into that, Healy really started as a practitioner tool in Germany. And they were like massive frequency device machines, like big bulky machines that people had to really train and know very specifically what frequency did which. And there is a frequency for everything. Like, just to get specific, if you want to talk like about health, for example, there is a frequency for kidney stones and there is a frequency for kidney stone pain. If you didn't know the difference between those two, neither one would work on the other. Like, that's how specific frequencies are. So the guy who invented this device and this machine was a monk, and so he was really into spirituality and getting in touch with your higher self, or being in tune with your heart and living your grandest expression and all that stuff. But he was also a quantum physicist and a quantum scientist, so he's kind of like, I would say, the embodiment of science meets spirituality. And he created these machines. They were medically approved, as you say, for sleep disorders, anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia, chronic skeletal pain, sleep disorders, and that's six. Those six things. And they worked so well that Healy, like the company was called Time Waver, or the company is still called Time Waver, but people were having to come back into the practitioner's office to be reattuned with these frequencies. And so the inventor was like, why don't we invent something completely new so that people can take this technology home and use it daily? And that is basically how Healy was born. So instead of having to know all of everything about every single little frequency like the practitioners did, he also invented like technology that goes in the Healy, so that you're literally, a Healy will scan and analyze you on the physical and the emotional and the mental, and it'll pick up where you're out of balance, which is crackers crazy. Like, people from like, how does this know that my knee is sore? Or how does this know that I'm fighting with my mom? Or how does this know that I'm tired? You know, like that kind of specificity. And yeah, then it has the capacity to do that. And then it scans and analyzes, and then it delivers specific frequencies back into your bioenergetic field, so you can bring yourself back into balance. And there's a lot of science that goes with it, which I can go into if you want.
Wow. I mean, okay, so you said that there is did you say an energetic or a frequency for I don't know, sickness, a frequency for let's say depression? There's a
Yes.
certain frequency to that.
Yes. Can I just amend that? There would be a spectrum of frequency for depression. So some of those would apply to like the mental aspect. Some of it would apply to like the depression actually in the body. So it might be held in the spine. It might be held in certain like parts of like organs of the body. And then there'd be an emotional aspect to that as well. And this is why frequency medicine is so transformational, because it's not just working at one of those things. Like, I mean, you go look at depression and you would say, oh, that's a mental thing, right? But there would be so many other layers and aspects to that condition that would have a frequency. And so there would be a spectrum of frequencies for each program. With, it's not just like this is this one frequency for depression. It would be the spectrum.
So if someone is, let's say, suffering from depression, it probably explains why certain medication with the whole shotgun approach doesn't work, because it's not really looking at the whole field of frequency and different parts of the body which is affected. It's like, okay, you're feeling this way, we're going to help you to feel different. As opposed to, okay, where is it all coming from to create this feeling that you have?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So if a person is suffering from depression, let's say someone has had a loss in the family, and they're having a hard time getting back to equilibrium, and you know they're trying meditation and I don't know, eating high vibrant foods, you know, with you know, nutrient dense and They've even tried medication, but for some reason, nothing seems to be working. Would you say that using something like this can help to balance the body where it needs to be? And how would it work long term if it was to? Would a person be able to stay in the right frequency or the right? Would it raise a person? Could you raise a person's vibration levels so that it stays where it needs to be, so that they can think a bit better? There's all sorts of questions thrown.
Yeah, good questions. I'm going to try and remember them all, but basically, what I feel like this technology does, and this is my experience of it personally and what I have witnessed in the people around me. I do have a massive community of people who I have seen go through transformation upon transformation on the physical, on the emotional, on the mental level, and really break through their own limitations, essentially. And what I see it doing and what I feel it doing is that it's like teaching ourselves to know ourselves better again. So say we were in depression, say something did happen or there was anxiety. I mean, I would say a large percentage of the world right now would have some level of mental anxiety around what's happening in the world right now. And sometimes it's hard to map that. It's hard to like really put your finger on what is it. It might just be an unease or something that doesn't feel good. And we don't know, we're not really taught how to deal with it. We're not like, there are things that we can do, like, people go to the gym and there's things that we do, but like, as you said, there are people, sometimes you're doing all the things, but it's like, but I still feel like this. I'm still waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I still have this thing on my chest. I can't let life really land for me, and it's really, it's hard for people, and we don't really know how to like move through that. And what it takes, I believe, is really coming home and being present with your body and knowing how energy moves in your body. And when you have a tool that you can use like this, and this is how I've experienced it, where it literally, I remember the first time depression came up for me on my Healy, I felt so relieved. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, I do feel depressed, and I'm not a depressive person, but it was just, it really helped me to understand and like name what I was experiencing, instead of like suppressing it and keeping it like under the rug, which it never really goes away from under the rug. So it just enables you to really be present with what's here for you in any situation, whether that's a death in the family or like ongoing chronic illness or stress about work or mental anxiety, or I've got wrinkles around my eyes, or whatever it is. And it really helps you map yourself as a holistic, as the holistic person, the holistic being that we are, as opposed to just, looking at one element of that. And to answer your next question, does it raise your frequency? For me, yes, 100%. And like when I first started using Healy, I was very depleted, like severely like I was coaching mothers on nervous system, like nourishing their nervous system. And I myself needed a huge nourishment in my nervous system. I just could not, like my nerves could not calm, and I was waking up at 3 a.m. every morning, and it was really, it's like hormonal depletion of going through motherhood and breastfeeding and just life up until that stage. And I'd been trying all the things exactly as you just said. And when I started using Healy, after the first program, I ran a hormone program, and I felt like I was like my chest relaxed, my back cracked. I went click, 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 click down my back, and I could breathe like deeply into my lungs. And that lasted for like 3 days from one program. And I was like, this is it for me. And not everyone has that experience, just to manage expectations. Like sometimes it's prolonged, but over time, within the first month, things that I had been going for in my life for years, literally years, like in my business, in in my relationships just fell into place because my frequency had changed, my energy had changed. I had just been able to, like, my nervous system, my adrenals really relaxed. And that's all the stuff that came up in the beginning for me. It was like fatigue, adrenals, kidneys, nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, all of that stuff. And it just gave me those little like plus ones to really, you know, perform at a higher level. And I literally have not looked back.
Amazing. Amazing. Is there a difference between microcurrent frequency and quantum physics, or?
Yes. Yes, there definitely is. That's a great question too. So there's a couple of modalities within Healy. One is called microcurrents. So this is a Healy, and I'm running a coil at the moment, but it does have like two little prongs underneath it, and you plug in cords, and with microcurrents, you actually wear them. So they're really light electrical currents that are biocompatible with the electricity that your body already creates. And each, as I said, literally everything has a frequency. You want to grow hair, you want to like, what's the word? I was about to say grow muscles, but it's not that.
Yeah, people want that too.
I know they do, but I'm not going to say it does that. That would be false. Yeah, but what's the word when you like, when you recovery from, you know, like workout sessions and stuff like that. Yeah, whatever, all of that, there's a frequency for all of it. There's a spectrum of frequencies for all of it. And so when you wear the microcurrents, this is a technology that has been around for quite a long time. There's a lady called Carol McMacken who has deeply researched this. She has an incredible book called The Resonance Effect, and she's a chiropractor in the USA, and she works directly with the American Football League. They have her microcurrent technology written into every single contract of the players in the teams, because she has scientific evidence and scientific proof that when there is an injury, if this technology is actually on the field and the players receive it within 4 hours, they're able to really change the recovery rate from those injuries in a really like much shorter space of time. So she's also worked with like children with autism and like so many layers of wellness in her body of work. It's really incredible to if you're interested, to read that book or listen to it on audio, as I did. Get the book. And that's microcurrents. So that is literally like it's applied to your body, and these are using like the specific frequencies. That's not quantum. That's not the quantum side of it necessarily. The really quantum side of it is that what Healy does. So most there are other frequency devices that you can use, like a Rife machine is one of them. And essentially what they do is they say, for example, you wanted to run a sleep program. They would run literally, this is the sleep program. This is how it's designed, and it would kind of like run its course, and that's it. That it is what it is. So if you experienced something outside of those frequencies, it would work to a certain point, and this is what a lot of people have experienced. But then beyond that, there's no adaptation, there's no intuitiveness, there's no ability to actually like optimize that to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. What's quantum about Healy is that it has a patent in it called a quantum sensor. So this does a couple of things. The first thing it does is that every 10 seconds, it is scanning your bioenergetic field and picking up the resonance. So essentially it's real time, like it's intuitive. So once it receives, okay, this is the highest priority, this frequency here, and it'll take that frequency. Let's say it's something to do with your liver, and you're in the liver program, and it will look in its whole spectrum, its whole library and category of frequencies, and it will choose in that moment which frequency your energetic field is needing to bring that one into balance. So it's like, I don't know if you understand homeopathy, but it's like two charges and then Like there's that resonance there. So this is what's required for you right now. So it has this quantum sensor. So you can run the liver program today and you would get a completely different program to what you run tomorrow. You did it, your friend did it, completely different program. So there's a real intuitiveness to it. And that is using the quantum sensor, that is accessing the quantum field. A lot of people, like the quantum field's a bit of a woo-woo kind of, it's a bit of a woo-woo sort of concept.
Yeah.
But there's a whole body of science around it. And people experience the quantum field every single day. You go into a room and you're like, oh, I don't like it here. That's the quantum field. You meet someone, you're like, that person had banging energy. That was awesome. That's the quantum field. It's like, it's beyond what you like, what you like tangibly see and feel. And science does prove that the basis of all health now is energy. Like, I mean, you look at our bodies, we're made up of organs, and then you break those organs down and they're made up of cells. You break those cells down, they're made up of like these beautiful looking molecules. You break those down, there's atoms, you break those down, there's subatomic particles, and you break that down even further. And what we have is space, like it's energy. And that energy is the quantum field. And the quality of that energy and the information in that field is what determines the experience that we have. It determines the experience that those little subatomic particles have. And so how they express themselves, do they express themselves as a rock or do they express themselves as a human? I know that's pretty like abstract, but do you know what I mean? Like it's that's really where the quantum field goes to.
That's cool. So it works on a quantum level, which is where it's not directly attached to your body. Does that mean you can run a program from your Healy whilst you're not next to it or something? Like
Yes,
I could
yes,
be, I don't know.
I could scan you right now, Roger, and it would blow your mind.
Oh, damn. Is it? Like,
Yeah,
right.
so this is
in your body.
so this is the capacity that Healy has, right? So that's one way that the quantum sensor is used, with that 10-second intuitive ability. And then there's a whole nother aspect of Healy, which has some like incredible programs like aura scans and like really in-depth stress readings and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I have sent things to, one of my favorite ones is, I had a friend in Hawaii who messaged me. She said, I'm really upset. Like I've just it was when COVID first hit and she was really stressed. She was like, I don't have anywhere to live. There was mold in my house, so I had to move out, but now there's nowhere that I can rent. And I'm like, oh, I'll run a Healy for you. She'd never touched a Healy. I said, send me a photo. And I just want to say that this is experimental. I'm pretty sure it's not like Healy wouldn't don't promote that you can actually, like it's because it's pretty out there, right? Like the quantum field stuff, and it's not medical. But this was the experience that I had and that she had. And I was like, I'll just run a Healy for you. I'll do an aura scan. And what came up, number one, was this person feels homelessness. This was from Perth, Australia to Hawaii. And all I did was run a scan for her. And that's how it came up, was this person is feeling homelessness. And I was like, wow. That's the quantum field. Like we're all connected in some way.
Yeah. How do you pinpoint a location when you're running this scan? How does that work?
She sent me a photo, and I just focused on her photo. So I'm an energy practitioner and I'm a coach. So I really understand. We used to, as a kinesiologist, we would do this thing called surrogating for a person, like especially if a child or a mother came in and they couldn't keep still or something. You can like really intentionally use energy to surrogate someone for someone else. And so I really understood that concept. So this wasn't really that foreign and mind blowing to me, even though every time I get something cool that like surprises and delights me. But yeah, it's how does it know? Because there is this quantum field where things are connected. All things are connected.
So you don't need to specifically know, okay, all right, send me a I don't know, send me a map of where you are. And, you know, like when you send someone like a WhatsApp location, okay, you are right there. I'm going to send a frequency in your direction. You know, you could just look at a photo. I'm
Well,
going
I knew she was in Hawaii, so I was intending that it was for her. And I mean, that's not the normal use of Healy, but it is a cool way to really understand like how little we've scratched the surface on our understanding of the quantum field, really.
okay. So can you use it to, all right. So could you check it, use it to check to see how your frequencies are doing? And then let's say after meditation, go back to it and see how things are doing after.
Yes, how you doing frequencies? Yes, you definitely could. And a lot of people do use it for that in their own personal development journey.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just to map, like, and even if you're feeling off, I used to do this a lot in the beginning. If I was feeling off and I couldn't quite place it, I would map my frequencies and I would see, it's that. And
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that. And then when I read, like, in the beginning, a lot of it for me was about my vision, like not being able to like really clearly see where I wanted to go and where I was going, like in my purpose work and in my business. And that was literally the only part of my scan that was down. Everything else was high, but it really affected how I was like moving about in my day. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, that's where I need to really intentionally put some energy into. And I did, and it shifted, and then things shifted.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, definitely a lot of people use it for that. And it's very validating, very validating to be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I do feel like that. And then when you like raise your frequency and you see that your numbers have gone up, that's very validating too, because it's, like sometimes we need that, because we're not super trained to validate this field of science, because it can be woo. It's like, it's a feeling. Like, how do you validate that feeling as a science? And so that's really, I think, what Healy does as well, is merge that science and the spirituality together.
Mm. Yeah, doubt can easily settle in and you're unsure if things are actually working. You know, especially if you're meditating, or let's say, all right, so I've got a crystal here, for instance, you know, it'd be good to know, all right, if I got this around me, is it helping to change, synergize with me to create the right frequency that of the intention that I'm trying to, put out there. That's really cool. So microcurrent frequencies has been around for a long time, and that is used in the medical field. Is that what you said?
Yes, microcurrent frequencies are used in the medical field, and there is a study by a man called Nok Cheng, and what they actually studied was the cell membrane voltage. And what they discovered was that the cell membrane is actually what maintains the integrity of a healthy cell. So a healthy cell, like a young cell when it's born and it's healthy and it's completely in balance, has a frequency of 70 MV. And then what they discovered was that different cells at different levels of, like, say, whether they were cancerous or whether they were dehydrated or whatever, they all had different like MV, different electricity, basically maintaining the integrity of that cell. And the way I was having a chat with my friend about this, and we're like, it's kind of like the cell membrane when it's in its ultimate integrity at that 70 MV. It's like a bouncer at a club. And the cell being the club, and every single cell, it has its own brain, it has its own intelligence. It's like we have billions and billions of soldiers inside of us, like all with their own intelligence. And when that cell is in its optimum state and its cell membrane voltage is at the optimum membrane voltage, the right things are coming in, the right things are going out, everything that's happening really beautifully inside that cell, and it's healthy. And we are designed, like by design, we are able to bring ourselves back into that balance. That's what our cells are supposed to do. However, if that bouncer in that club gets tired, say, for example, he might let a few rat bags in and they start causing havoc and the fights break out. And, that's kind of what's happening inside the cell. And when that happens, it gets kind of harder and harder for the cell to bring itself back into balance. So what the microcurrents are actually doing, it's like Healy doesn't heal anything. What Healy is doing, if you want to look at it scientifically and break it down, is that Healy is like putting petrol into that cell. Like it's giving, so there's energy and there's frequency. Energy is like the fuel. It's increasing ATP production, which is like, giving fuel to the mitochondria, and it increases them by up to 500%. So it's literally supercharging, giving the cell the energy that it needs. Then you bring in the frequency. So energy, the fuel, frequency, the instruction, the language. So frequency is the language that moves through every system of the body. So it's the common denominator, you could say. So how does the emotional, how does the mental, how does the physical, how do all these things speak to each other? It's frequency. It's the frequency that really creates that cohesion, that really creates that coherence within the body. And when you have that coherence, and you have that energy, then the cell can bring itself back into balance. So the microcurrents are increasing ATP production by up to 500%. They increase amino acid transport by up to 40%, and protein synthesis by up to 70%. And that is specifically what the microcurrents are doing in your body. So your body, like I said, your body is being allowed and given the energy and the instruction for it to bring itself back into its own balance.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had an experience a very long time ago, not crazy long, maybe 4 years ago. It was with a quantum device. So this is probably the reason why it doesn't feel too alien to me. I know for many people they're like, that's BS, I don't know. When you try and introduce it to people, I don't know, it's almost like trying to say, I can give you superpowers, because it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We've got to take it step by step before you could talk about superpowers.
Yeah, we just met, man.
yeah, exactly. Come on, let's have a cup of tea and, yeah, so a lady from South Africa, she had some device which she uses for quantum healing, and I met her on a coaching course which I was doing, and she was this was her business, and as she was telling me about it, I was like, wow, that sounds really interesting. And then she basically, I'm guessing, done the microcurrent frequency thing, because she had something around my wrist, something around my head. And she was able to pick up some stuff. And she was asking me whether I had some trauma in my life when I was 13 and 17 years old. And I was like, well, how would you know that? Like, I haven't told anyone. I haven't posted it on social media. It was just crazy. And she mentioned that although I might have been able to do some great amendments to my life and be able to flourish and be happy, it's like it's still embedded in there, maybe in my DNA, I don't know, but it's still there. It can still be picked up. So that to me is what kind of sold me the idea to look further, because that information I told nobody, no one.
That was my secret.
Even I had to remember that. I was like, what? Even I forgot. So that was really interesting. And another thing which was mentioned was, a similar thing of where you can, let's say if my testosterone was a bit lower, a frequency could be sent to raise it up. Let's say I wanted to increase my chances of building lean tissue, but my testosterone was low, then the frequency could be changed. So that is fabulous. But this was a massive device which she had. What you guys have there is something which is portable and you can just carry around with you. Would you say that the microcurrent frequency would be stronger than the quantum part of the device?
As a general rule, yes, I would. However, if I've learned anything in my study of energy and humans and performance, is that everyone's different. So the majority of people definitely, I would say, have a shift quicker with the microcurrents because they feel them generally. However, some people, some really super sensitive people, feel the other one as well. And I use the more quantum ones on my son. He's 5, and I ask him which one he wants, and he normally chooses the quantum ones. And for example, he's got a cold at the moment. I just run like a few little really short, sharp programs to help him like bring up the stuff on his lungs. And yeah, like that's more effective for him. Some people, yeah, it depends on the person, but as a general rule, I would say the microcurrents, yes. Yeah, I use microcurrents like twice a day now.
Right.
Very intentionally, very strategically.
Could you use it to change the energy field of your household?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're real, because we're talking energy and we're going into quantum field and we're going into intention there. It's limited only by the concepts that you are limited by. So I know people who like charge their water with the skin elasticity programs, and honestly, like I've seen side-by-side photos of these women. We even did a panel about it, like biohacking beauty, and we all put our photos up, and just seeing these women's skin and they're like just the shine in their face. And obviously it comes from the confidence that Healy creates as well, because it's working on that level. But you know, like the skin elasticity, the youthfulness, the like, you know, bringing cells back into their like a more healthier and more fuller state. And so that reflects externally as beauty, but internally it's also an internal shift. There's when you put things into your Healy, there's frequencies for animals. I use it to clear spaces before I run events. I use it in a room with events, like especially for coaches who run, like they're not quite sure like what to tap into for all of those people. You can just run a scan on the room and see what's like the major thing for every single one of those people in that room, or an event online. I run it on, there's a plants, you can run it on plants. Like it really is. Like I want to say infinite, but I don't know if it is infinite, but there's a lot of ways to use it.
Amazing. So you use it on your 5-year-old son, you say? Yeah,
I do. Yes.
As a cold. So, and you say through quantum, or do you use the microcurrent as well?
I've used the microcurrent on him a couple of times, but mostly it's the quantum.
Okay.
And it's very effective.
So when you use the microcurrent, you're able to, well, through the quantum and the microcurrent, can you basically get a report as to, okay, what's going on in the body? Where is everything at the moment? First of all, you run something?
Yeah, you can. I mean, and it depends which program you use as to what part of you is actually targeting. So with my son, I mostly use Materia Medica, which is homeopathy. And most people think of that as like, can be a bit woo as well. But the breakdown that Healy gives it is very, very accurate and in depth. Like, you know, when he first went to school, a lot of anxiety stuff came up, and it was very revealing for me because it showed like what he wasn't actually showing me and what he wasn't revealing. And he was having breakdowns like every night, because it was just, he's gone from like full freedom with hanging with me every day to going into like, I think he went to 8 hours a day, like, and he loved it. He honestly loved it, but it was a lot. It was a big mental stimulation. And he's a very proud person. He doesn't like to feel like he doesn't know what's going on. And that all showed up in there. And it even showed up like, you know, what food he'd be craving, and where it was, and like how his brain was working and how he felt like a slow learner. And it was so relevant to everything. And just being able to, I think, I mean, as a parent, I'm sure there's parents that are watching, as a parent, to sometimes it's hard to understand. I know we were children once, but it's hard to take ourselves back to that time and to just have that reflection, even in a relationship. Like, I'm not currently in a relationship, but in my last relationship, we used to use the Healy like when we were having arguments, because we literally didn't understand each other. So we would literally like do Healys and be like, oh, babe, okay, cool, yeah, we got it, like so
That's cool.
even that kind of stuff, it's so multifaceted.
That is interesting. That is interesting. So you get a report. Oh, so that your report says that. Oh, right.
See, you are doing that. No.
I just find that interesting, especially for kids. If they're in a new environment, just to see how they're doing. Let's say they're struggling with studying something. Is there any way of, I don't know, helping them to be? I think it's probably if they don't have an interest. Like, could you somehow influence an interest? I know influence sounds a bit harsh.
I think, well, do you know what? I think if a child doesn't have an interest, don't push it.
I'm going to make a change to that.
You will learn this. But no, there are learning programs that are incredible, like for exam stress, for concentration, for like ability to focus, for memory. Healy are bringing out frequencies for learning languages, for learning like musical instruments, because they all activate different parts of your brain. So you can stimulate the part of the brain. But if that child, if anyone isn't interested in learning something, it's probably not of their highest good to learn it anyway. So I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't use it for that. But if there is something that you're really wanting to like get on top of and be around, then there are programs that you can use for learning to maximize your learning and to be more efficient in your learning, for sure. And like retaining energy. I know when I've been on like long courses, I have a amazing mentor. His name's William Whitecloud, and he does these 4 or 5 day online like intensive courses. And whenever I do that, whenever I scan and see what, always learning comes up as like the number one, because so much information is coming in and I'm like learning all these new concepts. So it just helps me to be able to retain that and integrate it better.
That's awesome. Can pregnant women use it? I know, like, there's always, anytime there's something which is super great, they're like, yeah, but pregnant women, oh, we're unsure. I know.
No, pregnant women is not the microcurrent is not recommended for pregnant women.
Okay.
And also postpartum, and I can attest to this as well. They say like let a pregnant woman's hormones balance out on their own, like for a couple of months, without any interference, because it's like that natural like journey of a mother from like mother maiden to mother, and it's like there's something really sacred about it. However, I know there are mums who do it and who have done it, and that's completely up to them. And you can use the quantum energy stuff with when you're pregnant. Yeah.
Okay. What sort of stories have you got? Like, have you got any breakthrough stories where people are like, oh my God, I can't believe it, since I've used this, I didn't even know it was even possible, but I've
Yes, I have so many. Like, we have a Facebook group, there's like 70,000 people in there, and it's like story after story after story, and it's hard. I want to be compliant in sharing these, because obviously
a private Facebook group.
Private Facebook group. Yeah, I will share you a couple of stories of that I've witnessed experience myself.
Okay.
So when I first started, I was doing events, and I had this woman in my event, and she was kind of like a bit hard. And she was in Australia. We have something called FIFO, which is like they fly in, fly out, and they work up in the mines and they drive trucks, and it's a very isolating kind of life and experience. It's a very like masculine dominated space. And so she came in like her work gear, and she was sitting in the event and like kind of looking at me, and I was like, I had all these Heelys, and I was like, do you want to go? She was like, yeah. And the I program came up for her, and I was like halfway through talking about like doing my thing, sharing all about the stuff, chatting away, and she stood up like in the middle of this event. She was like, oh my gosh, like my eyes I couldn't, like, she just freaked out because she was wearing glasses, and she's like, my eyesight has changed, like, and in this one session, and she'd been wearing it for like 20 minutes, and she's like, it's just different. Like that thing that I could see that was fuzzy, and now without my glasses I can see it. Like it was amazing. And it was like kind of like one of those Bible stories where they're like, I can see. It was pretty full on. And I told my friend about it, and she was like, I don't believe you. You know, it was kind of like an unbelievable story. And like the events are really great because I always have 6 or 7 Healys out in the crowd, and people are, as you're talking about it and like sharing all the things that it does and the science and all of that, people are experiencing these microcurrents. And we had a child at one of them, and he was on the spectrum of autism, and he had a tick, and it was like, who wants to go? And he's like, me. Like he was really keen to do it, and we put it on him. And I can't remember, I think it was actually a stress program that came up for him. And as the microcurrents came through, his tick stopped. And he was like, oh, this was funny. Like, you know, he quite enjoyed it. And his tick stopped during this session. So, you know, there were people all around, and we took it off him after the end. And he was like, his mood had shifted, like his anxiety had shifted for sure. And then about 5 minutes later, he goes, oh, my tick's coming back, my shoulder's coming back. I can feel it's coming back, but watch this, I can stop it. And like it would start and it'd stop it. So it was like, that was pretty mind-blowing for me as well. Like to see a young child like go through that, that was one of my favorites. And there's so many, but yeah.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
good to know. So how many different types of devices, Healy devices, are there? Are they all small like that, or
Yes.
they're bigger ones?
They're all the same hardware. They all look like this.
Okay.
But just what comes inside is different. So there's varying levels of like what package of frequencies you get within each Healy. Mm-hmm. As you get to the higher models of the layers of the models, that's where you get the more quantum stuff. So at like the basic model is more microcurrents, and that still accesses the quantum with that 10-second intuitive, like reading your body, but it doesn't have the full scan of like really going into depth of like all the things. And some people don't want to know that. Some people literally, they're just like, I just want to feel better. Just run this program, I'm good. But for some people who really want to get into like, you know, knowing all the things and how am I working and what's making me tick, then you get like the models that go up, which have more and more functionality of that quantum field access.
Just quickly, something just popped in my head. Could you check on how someone is feeling without their consent? Maybe you could,
but I wouldn't, and I wouldn't recommend that you did. And it may not be accurate because I think that's really that's very, very intrusive. And
people might want to do that. And I'd like to know, hey, like who's checking up on my energy here? I'm feeling a bit funny.
This is gonna sound a bit woo as well, but I do believe we have a natural protection around us. Right. And so like if you're not consenting to that, there's no guarantee that's like, you don't know what that person's going to get. Like, that's why I would get consent from every single person, because then you know it's a clear reading. If it's not, there's going to be projection in that reading because there's 2 people in that reading. There's you, the reader, and the person being read. And if that energy is like deceitful or off or like non-consenting, that is going to influence the read 100%.
Okay. Cool. Let's talk about the different prices of these stuff. Could you go into prices at all?
Yes.
All right. So if someone wants to buy a basic model, what could they get from it? And then like, you know, going up to the top model, what can they get from it? And what are the price ranges? And if there's like, do they have to pay it all up front or in installments? I guess you can get into payment afterwards.
There is no payment plan. It's like it's all up front, but obviously we kind of support people in, you know, the normal lines of accessing funds, however they do that. The basic model is 500 euros. Are you in euros?
Uh,
I'm
UK, so we're pounds. But
right. I'm gonna say euros because it's like the most. It's the easiest. If that's okay. I don't know the translation in pounds. But like your store is actually in euros. The UK store is in euros. The US store is in US dollars. The Australian store is in Australian dollars. So euros is kind of like a little more universal. But yeah, basically 500 euros is the base model Healy. And that has what Healy calls the gold programs. And these are every Healy has 144,000 different frequencies, specific frequencies. The gold programs have all of those frequencies within them. But they are, I love the gold frequencies. Like they're amazing. They're really nourishing. The inventor, Marcus Schmieke, uses the gold frequencies every single day. He said he uses balance and being. So if you listen to the names of these, there's balance, there's being, there's care, relax, release, energy. So they're quite broad. So the spectrum of frequencies within that, let's say release, that could be, you could use release because you would need to release pain, or you need to release an uncomfortable feeling. You could be using release because there's like an emotion that you just can't shake and you want to release it. I use it for that a lot. Or there's like mental things. There's that mental like, and you want to let go of that. So that's release. And so, there's many ways that you can use those gold programs, but they have every single frequency. You're not missing out on any frequency. It just it's not as specific. So as you go up the layers, for example, there's programs that get more specific, like let's say skin elasticity, or liver, or kidney, or solar plexus chakra, or mental clarity, or lymphatic system, or hormones, or so can you like feel that like as you go up it gets more specific, as opposed to like down at the base layer, it's more broad, but you still get the same frequencies. There's just more room for experimenting as you go up in the layers.
So that's 500 for the basic one. What in the next one? What would that be?
Yeah, let me I'm sorry that so I didn't know we were going to do prices, but I'm more than happy to. I'm just going to get it up on screen for you. So the top one is, I'm gonna give you the price range. The bottom one is 500 euros and the top one is 4,000 euros. And in between, I will give you the exact prices. So the top 3 models all have the like real quantum stuff on them. And then the lower 2 models are just the microcurrents.
Okay, right. Lower 2 microcurrents. So
yes.
You got the very basic one, and what's the next one on the basic?
So the next one is called the Heli Holistic, and that includes the gold cycles, and then it has a program called bioenergetic support. So that has 2 really beautiful programs that Healy created since I've been a part of Healy. One is an immunity program, and the other one is a program called coherence, which is epic. Like it creates coherence within your cells. And it's really great for intention. It's really great. We use it like when we're in meetings, so that there is, like if they say like if there's one person in coherence in a space or in a project, then that person's going to be the leader, and it's going to bring everyone else's energy field into balance. And that's how powerful real coherence is. It's kind of like presence and really having access to, your grandest genius. So that's that. It also has mental balance. So there's like a level of programs for anxiety and stress and like self-confidence and confidence in self and confidence in groups. This next model up also has the Meridian program. So that's 2 pages, and it's about 20 programs, and it has every organ. It has like connective tissue, and it's the modality that acupuncturists work in, that etheric body that's just outside the meridians, just outside, outside of the body, out of the physical body. And that also comes with a module called the Heal Advisor, which means you can like type into this module a symptom or a condition that you are experiencing. You can also type in what model Healy you have, and it will give you a whole list of programs that you can use for that thing. So let's say it was, I don't know, tennis elbow. You would type in tennis elbow and it would just give you a whole list of programs, which is super helpful. So that is that one. That is 1,000 euros, just like 1,010 euros.
Okay.
And sorry, with that, you also do get a couple of other things. You get the fitness module, and you get like something called bioenergetic harmony, which that's the one that goes into like your hormones, potency, headaches. There's immune stuff in there, lungs, eyes. It's kind of like, I see it as like a sort of a bit of a first aid kit.
It sounds pretty amazing, to be honest with you. It sounds like something most people should have. Only thing I would say is that's probably not in a lot of people's budgets. You know, it's fantastic. So there is no payment program for that, for people who really want it, but they want to. It's like, look, can I pay in installments? Is there anything I can do to pay this off? Because I really,
there currently is not. But what I have been working with people, I actually have some people in the UK at the moment who I proposed this to, and that was that I'm not exactly sure how she got the money, but I was like, if you share this with 3 people, you will receive, like, Healy rewards people who share Healy. So I'm like, share it with 3 people, you will get a free resonance device, which is like the second top model. It's like the $2,000 model, as well as the device that you've bought, and you will receive like a very significant portion of your money back. So that's how I've just been sharing that with people, and that's quite motivating for people to like share the vision of Healy, and also not feel so insecure about the massive financial burden.
yeah. So they have to buy it first and then share about it in order to get the money back.
Yeah. There is currently no payment plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Well, not good to know, but at least people would know should they decide, I want to get one. Yeah.
You know what? When I first purchased Healy, and this was 18 months ago, I had no money. I didn't and my whole financial situation has changed since then. And I was just like, I know that I want to be a part of this, and I think it's really disempowering to assume that people can't afford it, because people can, and money is an energy, just like, and we work with Healy, and Healy is an energy, and money is an energy, and energy is infinite. And so people that really feel the pull to this, people that are drawn to this, they find dynamic ways to make it work. And it's kind of like, it's a beautiful initiation, I feel, into like really stepping into their ability as a creator to be powerful and bring things into their life that are meaningful with the energy of money. This is one of my major subjects as well, wealth. Because my situation has changed like so dramatically in 18 months from working with Healy.
Amazing. So did you say you run events yourself, which people could go to?
I do.
You do?
I do. I run events. I run like in-person events in my town. It's a city, but I feel like hometown compared to London is very small.
Okay.
But we have online events too. We have like a multitude of online events at the moment. We have an amazing Chinese herbalist who's talking about all the elements of your body and how to like hack into each of those elements using the Healy, and like how your like all the elements like fire, water, earth, metal, and how Healy like applies to that in your consciousness, and yeah, what programs you can use to really hack into it. We have like 4 or 5 different weekly events online so that people can really understand and meet the community and like see the bigger vision and the broader vision of where Healy's going, and see if it really aligns with where they want to go as well.
And that's on their website, on the Healy website.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of information that I can I'm not sure how links work with at the end of this. If people are interested, I can just send you maybe a chunk of information that people can either, I'm happy to jump on a call and talk to people, or we can just send people information and links to check it out and do some reading for themselves. Happy to do scans for people so that they can have an experience of that. Whatever works for people.
Yeah, if you could send me a link that I can put in the show notes and people can click on and contact you to get involved.
Yeah.
Might get
for sure.
Cool, who knows?
Sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you send that link, and what do you have any social media that people can contact you directly on, or do you prefer people to go through that link?
I do have social media, yes. Instagram is the Arihia Sun, which is a bit of a mouthful for spelling. Maybe we'll put that in the links as well. And my Facebook is Arihia Sun.
Okay, Arihia
Yeah.
Sun. Right. All right, sweet. I'll put that in the notes as well. Arihia, it's been amazing. Thank you very much for giving this powerful information. It's stuff on a quantum level is a lot to digest for many people. For me, it's something that I practice a lot of the time anyway. So this is just a nice addition to that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for helping me to share the vision of Healy, and for your amazing questions, and for your time.
All good. You have a great, what was it, evening there?
It is. It's like 7 p.m.
Oh, okay. Probably run your Healy and wind down. Who knows? Thanks again. You have a great evening.
Thanks. You too.